The United States has long been a destination for people from around the world, seeking opportunity, safety, education, or a better quality of life. While many arrive through legal channels, there is also a significant population that lives in the country without proper documentation. In 2025, updated research and government data reveal that nearly 11 million undocumented immigrants reside in the U.S., and a notable portion of them, about 1.7 million, originate from Asia. This means roughly 1 in 7 undocumented immigrants in America today comes from an Asian country. These numbers are not just statistics. They represent stories of migration, ambition, challenges, and complex immigration systems. In this breakdown, we will look at the 10 Asian countries with the highest numbers of undocumented immigrants in the U.S., based on the latest available data and estimates from credible sources like the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Pew Research Center, the Center for Migration Studies, CMS, and recent 2025 immigration trend reports. At number 1 on the list is India, which has emerged as the single largest source of undocumented Asian immigrants in the United States. Estimates for 2022 place the number of undocumented Indians at approximately 725,000, and some studies suggest the number could be higher depending on the counting method used. The growth in undocumented migration from India has been remarkable in recent years, with asylum applications from Indian nationals skyrocketing, from around 9,000 in 2018 to more than 51,000 in 2023. Many of these cases involve visa overstays rather than illegal border crossings, with people initially entering on work, study, or tourist visas and later remaining after their authorized stay expired. India's large English-speaking population, strong educational ties with U.S. institutions, and extensive diaspora networks make it easier for undocumented migrants to blend into communities and find work, especially in tech, healthcare, and business sectors. Second is China, with an estimated 210,000 undocumented immigrants as of 2022. While the number is smaller than India's, the Chinese undocumented community in the U.S. is still substantial and growing. Some of this growth comes from students or visitors overstaying their visas, while others involve individuals arriving through indirect routes, including via Latin America, before crossing the southern U.S. border. Chinese undocumented immigrants are often concentrated in metropolitan areas such as New York City, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, where established Chinese communities and business networks provide both opportunities and anonymity. In recent years, changes in U.S.-China relations, economic shifts, and pandemic-related travel patterns have also played a role in shaping migration flows. The Philippines takes the third spot, with roughly 350,000 undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. Filipinos have a long history of migration to America, dating back to the early 20th century, and strong cultural, linguistic, and familial ties continue to draw people across the Pacific. While many arrive legally, often through work visas in healthcare or domestic services, some overstay their visas or enter through other means, becoming undocumented. The Filipino undocumented community is diverse, including young professionals, caregivers, and families who integrate into cities like Los Angeles, San Diego, and Las Vegas. Because of their English fluency and cultural familiarity with the U.S., many Filipinos are able to navigate American life relatively easily, even without legal status. In fourth place is South Korea, historically one of the top Asian countries for undocumented immigration to the United States. While specific 2025 numbers are limited, past DHS estimates place the undocumented Korean population at around 250,000 in 2014, and it remains significant today. Much like India and the Philippines, many undocumented South Koreans arrive legally on tourist or student visas, and later overstay. Korean American communities in Los Angeles, New York, and New Jersey often serve as hubs for new arrivals, with businesses and churches playing a role in supporting those without legal status. South Korea's inclusion in the U.S. visa waiver program has made short-term entry easier, which can inadvertently lead to more overstays. Vietnam holds the 5th position, with approximately 200,000 undocumented Vietnamese immigrants living in the U.S. This community has deep roots, with migration waves beginning after the Vietnam War and continuing through family reunification and refugee programs. While much of the Vietnamese immigrant population is legally present, there is a substantial segment without documentation. Many undocumented Vietnamese work in nail salons, restaurants, and other small businesses, particularly in states like California and Texas, where large Vietnamese American populations reside. Pakistan comes in 6th. The Center for Migration Studies reported approximately 49,000 undocumented Pakistanis in the U.S. in 2015. And while updated figures are harder to find, experts believe the number has remained high enough to keep Pakistan in the top 10. Pakistani undocumented immigrants are often concentrated in metropolitan areas like New York, Houston, and Chicago, with many involved in small business operations, transportation services, and IT-related work. As with other countries on this list, visa overstays are a major contributing factor. Beyond these top 6, several other Asian countries contribute significant numbers to the undocumented immigrant population in the United States. These include Nepal, Cambodia, Thailand, and Indonesia, along with smaller groups from countries such as Bangladesh and Myanmar. When grouped together, these other Asian countries account for around 297,000 undocumented immigrants, based on earlier estimates. While individually their numbers may not rival those of India or China, collectively they make up a substantial share of the Asian undocumented community. It is important to note that these numbers are estimates, and methodologies vary. For example, the Department of Homeland Security, Pew Research, and the Migration Policy Institute often produce slightly different figures due to differences in survey methods and data sources. In some cases, CMS estimates for certain countries are almost double those of DHS, showing how difficult it is to count a population that, by definition, is trying to remain undetected. For instance, CMS estimated around 693,000 undocumented Indians in 2022, while DHS placed the figure closer to 220,000. The truth likely lies somewhere in between, but all sources agree that India leads by a significant margin. Understanding these numbers matters because undocumented immigrants from Asia differ in some key ways from undocumented populations from other regions. Studies have found that undocumented Asian immigrants are, on average, more highly educated than the overall undocumented population in the U.S., with about 74% having at least some college education. Many work in professional fields such as business, science, technology, healthcare, and the arts, contributing to sectors that rely on skilled labor. This profile challenges the common stereotype that undocumented immigration is primarily associated with low-wage or unskilled labor. In addition, the economic contributions of these communities are significant. Undocumented immigrants, Asian and otherwise, pay billions in taxes each year, both through payroll deductions under false or borrowed Social Security numbers and through sales and property taxes. They also contribute to local economies by starting businesses, creating jobs, and filling labor shortages. Yet, despite these contributions, living without legal status means constant uncertainty, limited access to benefits, and vulnerability to exploitation. In 2025, there have been notable developments that could affect these populations. The total foreign-born population in the U.S. has reached record highs, exceeding 53 million, including both legal and undocumented immigrants. Between 2021 and 2025, India accounted for about 12% of new arrivals to the U.S., or roughly 958,000 people, while China contributed about 7%, or 621,000. These figures include both legal and illegal migration, but they underscore the scale of movement from these countries. Additionally, the Indian government has publicly stated plans to work with U.S. authorities to repatriate around 18,000 undocumented Indians in 2025, signaling increased international cooperation on immigration enforcement. For undocumented immigrants from Asia, the path forward is uncertain. U.S. immigration policy is under constant political debate, and changes to visa programs, asylum procedures, and enforcement priorities could alter the landscape quickly. While some advocates push for legalization pathways for long-term undocumented residents, others support stricter enforcement and deportation measures. For individuals living in the shadows, these policy shifts can mean the difference between building a stable life and facing forced return to their home countries. In summary, the 10 Asian countries with the largest undocumented populations in the United States in 2025 are led by India, followed by China, the Philippines, South Korea, Vietnam, and Pakistan, with other nations like Nepal, Cambodia, Thailand, and Indonesia rounding out the list. Together, they represent a diverse and complex segment of the U.S. immigrant experience, one shaped by global economic forces, visa policies, family connections, and personal ambitions. While the numbers tell part of the story, the human side, filled with dreams, struggles, and resilience, is just as important to remember.